I hope you're getting the impression that we had a lot of fun in Vacation Bible School. I don't know, it's amazing to me. I'm not much of an arts and crafts guy. And so I walk in and I see all the work and all the effort and all the people that built logs or fireplaces or flowers or let us borrow their trees or made the mountains or put up the Aurora Borealis or everything else we got going on. Such an amazing effort by so many people. Truly blessed to see all that happened this week. Is it too early to ask about next year? We'll wait a week. We're already thinking about next year. Positive thoughts, I hope. Now I realize that we've missed the scripture reading, Jerry, so I got to get you back up here and have you do that before I start preaching. I'm so excited to be here this morning. Let me turn that on for you.
Good morning. Reading from Gospel of Luke, chapter 6, verses 37 through 45. Don't judge others, and God won't judge you. Don't be hard on others, and God won't be hard on you. Forgive others, and God will forgive you. If you give to others, you will be given a full amount in return. It will be packed down, shaken together, and spilling over into your lap. The way you treat others is the way you will be treated. Jesus also used some sayings as he spoke to the people. He said, "Can one blind person lead another blind person? Won't they both fall into a ditch? Are students better than their teacher? But when they are fully trained, they will be like their teacher." Verse 41, you can see the speck in your friend's eye, but you don't notice the log in your own eye. How can you say, "My friend, let me take the speck out of your eye," when you don't see the log in your own eye? You show-offs. First, get the log out of your own eye. Then you can see how to take the speck out of your friend's eye. A good tree cannot produce bad fruit, and a bad tree cannot produce good fruit. You can tell what a tree is like by the fruit it produces. You cannot pick figs or grapes from thorn bushes. Good people do good things because of the good in their hearts, but bad people do bad things because of the evil in their hearts. Your words show what is in your heart. The word of God for the people of God.
Thanks be to God. Thank you, Jerry. I knew we were going to have a great week in Vacation Bible School when the very first, this is the verse that they were learning in the Scripture Center. It says, "Anyone who listens to my teaching and follows it is wise." And we had little ways, to help memorize. We had little motions that went with that. Anybody remember that one? Anyone who listens to my teaching and follows it is wise. And I thought, well, that's exactly what we need to be doing around here. And that's part of the reason that I've been preaching through the Gospel of Luke. And so we find ourselves this week again in the 6th chapter of the Gospel of Luke. Before I started, somebody asked me about my shirt. I've actually had 2 compliments on my shirt already. Usually I'm wearing a shirt and a tie, and so I thought maybe that was a difference. But the reason I'm wearing this today is because I've got OneDrive that saves all my pictures, and every day it comes up with your memories from this day. Anybody else seen that, where it says, hey, your memories from this day, and it goes back through the various years. And so yesterday, as I was going through this for the last time, I saw that your memories from this day, 5 years ago today. And there's this beautiful picture of Chaz and Susan Browning, and they're sitting in their Tommy Bahamas outdoor chairs in the pavilion, and they just look like they're so peace and wonderful. And in the background, you can see me standing on a picnic table preaching to the congregation wearing this shirt. I said, that's it, I'm wearing this shirt. This is 5 years ago in Sundays today, I was standing on the picnic table preaching to folks sitting in their cars, or if they brought the chairs, we were finally letting people out of their cars because of this COVID around everywhere. As long as they kept far away from each other, they could come out and sit in their chairs instead of their cars, and we were preaching outdoors. That was 5 years ago today. What a blessing to be a part of a church that cares so much about hearing the Word of God. They're willing to get in their car and sit on a June warm summer day just to hear and just to be close to each other. We couldn't even get out and touch each other. We weren't supposed to be using the bathrooms. Remember all that stuff we weren't supposed to do? And yet you cared so much, we were there trying to be together, be in fellowship. And so this shirt reminds me of that. I'm definitely thankful to be indoors this week. I'm glad we had the air conditioning this week during Vacation Bible School. We heard over and over again how we can trust Jesus. And that's true. And today we continue to look at the way Jesus taught. Anyone who hears what I say and follows it is wise. And so we're listening to what Jesus was preaching. Remember in Luke chapter 6, this is pretty much the equivalent to the Sermon on the Mount from the Gospel of Matthew. But Luke has Jesus selecting the 12 disciples. They come down off the mountain. He heals a whole bunch of people where all these people gather to hear him and to be healed. And then after this healing, he then starts to teach them. And we'll remember he started with blessings and troubles. And then he told them to love even their enemies. And many other ways of how we're to love others even to the point of sacrificing ourselves. And today, Jerry read about how Jesus used action words to tell people what to do or not to do. There were two don'ts. Don't judge others, and don't be hard on others. Well, if we look at other English versions of be hard on, the word that most of the English translations use is don't condemn others. So it's don't judge others, don't condemn others. And then you get a couple do's. Do, remember the first one? Do forgive. Do forgive others. And the other one I find just about equally as hard. It's like do give to others. And so there's these four action words that Jesus started with in terms of this is how you people are listening to me as your teacher, as the voice from God. This is what I'm telling you. Don't judge others. Don't condemn others. Do forgive others. Do give to others. Is that not a word that we need for today in our modern society? We are so quick to pick sides. We're so quick to polarize over issues. We're so quick to evaluate others based on one thing they've said or done. We need a lot more forgiveness. We need a lot more giving. We need a lot less judging and condemning. Jesus used a couple of, let's call them proverbs to talk about this. And he said, can you imagine if there's a blind man and he decided to have another blind man lead him around? Can you imagine that? Two blind men. One blind man's leading the other blind man. Where are they going to end up? In the ditch. End up in the ditch. That's what's going to happen. We all know that. We understand that. How can you not see that you need to follow someone who can see, who knows the truth, who has the right things to tell you? Jesus offered this wisdom to us as to how we are to live. And I almost feel like I'm underplaying it when I call it wisdom because I think these are commands. Jesus is saying, if you're going to be my disciple, if you're going to follow me, this is what I'm telling you. Don't judge. Don't condemn. Do forgive. Do love. And each one of these commands came with the promise. If you don't judge, God won't judge you. Doesn't that sound pretty good? Get out of free jail card. Remember that one from Monopoly? It's like if you don't judge, God's not going to judge you. If you don't condemn, God's not going to condemn you. If you do forgive, God will forgive. If you do give to others, God is going to give you so much it's going to be pressed down. It can be shaken. You know how you shake something to get more into the bag? You know, it's going to be shaken and it's going to be packed in. It's going to be so overflowing, it's going to overflow into your lap. That's how much God will give you if you are generous with others. These are commands, but commands with wonderful promises attached to them. There's a way to live with grace and mercy in this world that is a blessing to others and it's a blessing to us. The danger is that we fall into the trap of jealousy or anger or picking sides or looking down on others, condemning them. That's the danger. It's the same danger we saw in the story of the prodigal son. Remember the prodigal son wanders off and he finally figures out he's doing the wrong thing and he comes back. And the older brother is sitting there judging and condemning. I'm not even going to go into that party. He was so angry with his father for being merciful. That's a trap we need to avoid. When we're forgiving, when we give to others, we are being like Jesus. That's his standard. That's what he explained. If we will listen to what he says and follow his ways, we are wise. Speaking of wise, it's just over and over again, we're trying so hard to tell these kids the wise thing to do in this world is to follow Jesus, to trust Jesus. Another one of the proverbial illustrations that Jesus related as he's speaking of this is our tendency to want to take the speck out of our brother or sister's eye. And we see this problem with somebody else. So I can help them. And yet the problem is the log in our own eye, the big thing in our own eye that we don't even see. That's why we need each other. That's why we need the fellowship, the community of faith. None of us is perfect. And sometimes even when we want to, in a sincere way, help somebody, we might need help first. There are problems that are too big for us to do on our own. And I was thinking about illustrations. In the last 2 weeks, I've got so many illustrations of ways that I've been able to do something because somebody else helped me. I was working on the dishwasher, trying to put a dishwasher in the house not too long ago, and I just couldn't get the thing to move by myself. So son comes home, and here we are, the two of us, we got it moved. But I couldn't do it by myself. We got that thing out of that hole. Great to have a helper that comes along. A week ago Saturday, packing up a shipping container. And it was so much easier because 4 other men showed up and helped me do that. And I got to the end, we packed all the stuff we had, and I had one more thing that I was going to do, and I was, okay, I'll take care of this. You guys go enjoy the rest of your Saturday. And Eddie said to me, he said, it'll be faster if we do it together. It'll be twice as fast if the two of us do it. And it's like, what generosity, what giving, what helping, what kindness. And it was true, it was way better because I had somebody helping me do it. And we got it done. Went on with our day. Vacation Bible School. I mean, Jessica did a brilliant job, but any chance you could have done this by yourself? No chance whatsoever. People kept bringing stuff and supplying stuff and spent hours here putting things together, setting things up, and then tearing stuff down. Just amazing what we can do as we work together. It's faster, it's better. It was an amazing program for the children. And it only happened because we had 50-some adults running around. Did that count the bigger kids? All right, so 50 almost adults and adults running around taking care of the kids, just pouring themselves into the children. As we combine our gifts and choose to work together and welcome others and give and forgive and love. You know, a relationship doesn't work unless you're willing to forgive. Have you figured that one out yet? At some point, even with your favorite person in the whole world, at some point you got to be willing to forgive. That's just part of life. We've got to do that if we're going to be together in community. And it just makes such a difference. Instead of following blind leaders, we can look to Jesus and follow what he has to say. One of the proverbial things that Jesus talked about was this idea that a good tree produces good fruit. A bad tree produces bad fruit. You wouldn't expect good fruit from a bad tree. A good tree produces good fruit. And Jesus teaches us that that's what he wants us to do, to produce good fruit. He tells us these are the things we need to do in order to produce good fruit, in order to be standing on his side, because there is a divide here. We've got a choice to make. We can be judgmental. We can stop judging others. And I mean judging in the moral sense. I don't mean judging in the sense of trying to make something more efficient or something work a little better, save a little bit of money, or be a little more effective. You know, we're supposed to discern. We're supposed to plan. We're supposed to evaluate the influences in the world around us. We're supposed to do those kind of things. But I'm hearing judgment in a moral sense, where we look at somebody and say, well, that person is such a horrible person. I don't even want to be around them. They're just mean, they're miserable, they're going to hell. I mean, however we might want to package that I think is judging and condemning. We should always be loving and forgiving and trying to help those people. Jesus gives us a choice. Will we judge? Will we not judge? Will we condemn? Will we not condemn? Will we forgive? Will we refuse to forgive? Will we give to others? Will we keep everything for ourselves? These are action words, ways that Jesus is telling us we should live. We're invited to pick his side, to walk in his path. And Jesus described these good people doing these good things because the good in their hearts. But if you've been around for a while, you've probably figured out that I believe our hearts are evil. The evil stuff comes from within us. And so where is this good stuff coming from in my heart if my heart is evil? Well, it comes from Jesus living in me. It's not me. It's got to be Jesus living in me. It's got to be me stepping off the throne of my life and saying, Jesus, I want you to be in charge. I want to follow your way in everything that I'm doing. Our words and our actions show who is reigning in our hearts. That's the side we want to be on. That's the life that Jesus calls us to. For me, VBS was an inspiring week because of the way so many used their gifts to put on this event and use their talents to really engage and encourage the children. This week we had many examples of people helping and loving and giving to others. It was truly inspiring to see that happen over the course of the week. Today we're going to try to pack something else in our worship service this morning. It's a little belated. It's a little late, and I apologize for that. But we finally got these two young ladies back from college, and so they're on their summer break, and they're going to talk to us about a mission trip that they went on to Cozumel. So Ada and Eden are going to come up now, and they're going to share with us. I think they start with a video, or do you want to be up here standing? We're going to play the video first. Okay, so as the video's playing, we'll get them up here, and then they're going to tell you more about their mission trip to Cozumel during the spring break.
Good morning, church.
Good morning.
I'm Ada Gowdy.
And I'm Eden Gowdy.
We were both born and raised here in Clark County, if you don't know us, and we now attend Lipscomb University, which is a small Christian university in Nashville, Tennessee, that has a big focus on mission work and its students' spiritual journeys. This past March, we were blessed with the opportunity to return to Cozumel, Mexico, and serve in an orphanage there called Ciudad de Angeles. We went with a team of 25 people from our school to complete work projects and spend time with the kids, sharing God's love with them.
The front half of Cozumel is designed for tourists, full of cute shops and expensive restaurants. The cruise ship's passengers only witness that side and have no idea that the other half of the island is impoverished and struggling. Ciudad de Angeles is a small orphanage on the back half of the island, surrounded by jungle and humble means of living. It was started in 2002 and is run by an American couple. They rely entirely on volunteer mission teams to keep the facility in working condition, as they don't employ workers other than the house parents who raise the children. Its houses are set in a circle, like a neighborhood, and run by Christian house parents. Orphaned or abused children are placed in the homes and raised in a family dynamic, mimicking a normal household. The kids attend school off campus and are given Christian instruction in the orphanage's classroom on a daily basis. In the other half of the orphanage, there are dorms used as optional transition housing for kids aged 18 through 25 who have graduated high school but still need support while they start their adult lives.
Our team stayed in villas about a mile walk from Ciudad, and each morning at 8 a.m. we would walk to the orphanage. We spent our mornings doing projects like power washing, painting, debris removal, and fixing electrical problems and weeding. After finishing the work projects, we would spend time each afternoon with the kids, ages 3 through 15. We organized activities for them like water games, arts and crafts, and would play soccer, basketball, and nine square with them, incorporating the gospel into our interactions. Eden and I were both raised speaking Spanish as a second language, which made an incredible difference in being able to communicate and form connections with the people that we met. We translated constantly for our fellow team members and leaders, helping with the logistics of shopping and transportation, as well as when our team members wanted to communicate a message to the kids they were playing with or explain the games that we had organized. Many of us on the team really connected with certain kids, so we were curious about their stories. One of the little boys, Nick, who's about 7, came to the orphanage this past year after neighbors saw him living and eating off of the streets. Every morning his dad would leave for work and would lock him out of the house, leaving him to fend for himself and scrounge for any food he could find. One of the other transition kids, Ernesto, who is now 19, came to Ciudad with his little sister Jessica. He was used to saving his food to give to her, as they had lived not knowing when their next meal would be. In his first few months at Ciudad, he would sneak tortillas and other little bits of food into his pockets, and he'd always save part of his meal for Jessica. Despite their past hardships, it's amazing how full of joy and love and generosity these kids are.
It was wonderful to see the transition kids with whom we had bonded and kept up with since the last trip, and hear about what they're doing now and how much has changed in a year. One is now in cooking school to become a chef, one is in college, and another is studying business. When we would do our work projects, they would pitch in and help out alongside us, which also gave us time for great conversations. While I was pulling weeds with one of the transition kids, Gustavo, we talked for an hour straight and formed a friendship that led us to catch up with each other every few weeks since the trip. One of the most memorable experiences that we had was actually outside of the orphanage on our day off. We went to the side of Cozumel where the cruise ships dock, and were given the opportunity to walk around the shops and vendors and spend time in the town. Ada and I had many conversations with the vendors we met once they realized that we spoke their language, and we thoroughly enjoyed ourselves getting to know them. When we were about to leave the town, already late for our team dinner, a vendor and his friends signaled for us to stop and talk to them. We hesitated since we were out of time, but stopping was the best thing that happened that day. While we talked with them, they asked us what brought us to Cozumel, and that sparked a conversation about our mission trip and religion. The men were overjoyed that they could talk about Christianity with us, and they shared that they had been struggling recently. They said that it was a sign from God that we had stopped to talk to them, and it gave them hope. Before we left, Next, the man asked us to keep him and his friends in our prayers, and so Ada and I and one other team member prayed over them right there on the street. Before we left, he ran into his store and brought us out wooden decorations in the shape of sea creatures that he had hand-painted and gave them to us as a gesture of appreciation, which was the picture at the end of our video.
The government system that deals with orphan and abused children is often just as harmful and detrimental as the places that these children are taken from. So Ciudad is really a sanctuary compared. Its program and mission are so important because it produces competent, well-rounded citizens that are strong in their faith and morals and become valuable members to the community and the workplace. Every time we return, it strikes me more and more how much of a blessing Ciudad really is and how significant the work we do is. Ciudad runs on nothing more than donations and time that volunteers dedicate to keep it able to continue providing these kids with a chance at a better future. We plan to return to Cozumel next year and continue the Lord's work in the orphanage and watch these amazing kids grow. Thank you for your prayers and support of our trip. We would be happy to answer any questions.
Well, we don't have a lot of time, but is there a question that someone just wants to ask?
How many children are there?
They have about 30 kids.
All right, looks like you got to play with all of them in the pictures. They were all
Yes.
everywhere out there. All right. Well, they'll be around after the service if you do want to say, ask another question or offer a word of encouragement. It is such an inspiration. I think we learn from seeing what other people are doing. That gives us ideas of what we can do. And it's great to see the two of you giving your time and serving this great cause. So thank you for your presentation today.